was designed for. The American school system, at least, was designed by the Rockefellers, and what they're essentially doing is preparing people to be cogs in a wheel. They're preparing people to just show up and do what you're told and live this life of quiet desperation and just sit there and absorb whatever they tell you to, because you're going to have to go and work and do something you don't want to do all day long and show up and do it again until your body stops working and you die.
I don't know if I will 100% agree with that statement in the sense of this was created by design. I think...
Well, the school system in America certainly was created by design.
Yeah, but...
The idea of sitting people down, especially young kids, for 8 hours a day is a ridiculous idea.
But the schools and education go way beyond America and go back in time. We was always an interest for writing and teaching and sharing knowledge. Yeah. And obviously the very few lucky ones, centuries and centuries ago, were the ones that were able to acquire that knowledge.
Yes, but I think starting people off at 5 years old and sitting them in classes all day, that's relatively new in human history. This is what I'm talking about. This sitting people in classrooms all day as children. This is relatively new in human history. This was not something that people did hundreds and hundreds of years ago. When you think about all the great scholars of the past, yes, they certainly learned in school. They didn't do it the way they're doing it today.
I'm not an expert on that front, but I can tell you when my daughters began going to school, my wife decided to take them to a Montessori school.
Oh. That's where everybody's in the same grade, right?
Very much, but the type of learning and the type of teaching and the method of Montessori, I was fascinated by. I was so fascinated that I almost felt like as a dad, I had to go to a school to learn the Montessori system myself because I thought it was great. I thought it was giving my daughters a great framework to understand how to be themselves, how to grow, how to organize themselves, giving them the freedom to become the young woman they are becoming. So for me, just watching them going through, when they were 4 or 5, going to Montessori, I thought that was amazing because I saw little human beings that they were far away smarter, I think, than when I was at their same age. Was no system of education that was used guiding them like cows or like horses when they put, how do you call this thing?
Blinders.
The blinders?
Yeah.
No, it was the contrary. It was opening their world, not only 360, but almost three-dimensionally. Giving them options for them to be their own owners of their destiny, I will say. I think that's why my daughters became so highly opinionated. And so, Daddy, thank you for your opinion, but let me tell you, it's something else here. Okay, all right. And I love it. So, yeah, I'm not expert on education, or I see your point. But still, I'm not going to lie to you, Joe. I wish that in the same time, the same way I told you I didn't go through proper education, in many ways I wish I received a slightly more proper education. Like I learned business hitting the wall every time. You know, Winston Churchill, they claim he said that success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. I had a lot of successes, but I had my share of failures too, like I'm sure everybody does.
Yes.
But what makes the difference between looking down and never moving again or
Picking up the pieces
and let's do it again is enthusiasm.
That's a great quote. Failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. That's a great quote.
Well, I don't know if it was his. You know, every
Right.
phrase that is a good phrase and they don't know who did it.
Right.
Let's give it to Winston Churchill.
Or Socrates.
Yeah, Socrates.
There's always a bunch of those. Yeah. But whatever it is, it's accurate. It's definitely accurate. I just think that there's a lot of different roles in life. And the problem with traditional school is that they're preparing you for a job. And I think there's a lot of like very creative people that would be served better if they had a more open-ended education and they were allowed to just pursue their interests and be excited about certain things and just get a rudimentary education in other things. That's just my opinion. Because I think there's certain people that they just don't fit in with a regular 9 to 5 life. It's just not for them. And like I said, you can call it ADHD, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot. All my friends, everyone I hang out with, I don't know anybody that's like built for regular life.
Yeah, on that I feel I'm more in your club. I think the best university is the university of life.
Yes. As long as you're really engaging. As long as you're really doing something and really challenging yourself and really applying yourself to something. I agree with you. And, you have to have a lot of, I think the more interest you have, the more things you're fascinated by, the broader your understanding of human beings will be and the better your life will be.
Yeah, and engaging.
Yes, engaging.
I know lately I've been, taking the taxi ride or the Uber ride, or I drive myself sometimes. But I'm realizing, for example, the most fascinating moment is when I go back to use on the subway. It's just...
And just talk to people.
It's just great.
Or see people. People watch.
Well, I mean, in your case, everybody will recognize you. In my case, people may recognize me